The truth about work-life balance in consulting, in finance, and strategy and management. Hi everyone, my name is Hannes. I'm an expert and career coach for careers in consulting, finance, and management and strategy. And so far we have helped more than 100 clients to take the next step in their career in the industries of consulting, finance, and strategy and management. And today I want to talk about a very important topic. I want to talk about the truth of work-life balance in these highly competitive and very intense industries. And the reason why I want to talk about it is because on a daily basis, people ask me, and also like in our coaching programs and on social media, and also like with my friends, by the way, very often we discuss the question, is a work-life balance possible if you work in consulting, finance, or in top strategy or management positions? And also, of course, like in society, currently it's a huge topic. And that's why I want to share some of my insights, some of my thoughts, some of my experience as well on what works, what doesn't work, and also, to answer the question, is a healthy work-life balance possible if you work in these industries? And if so, how can you achieve that? And before we start, I want to make one thing very clear. So a healthy work-life balance is a serious topic in these industries. Because I literally know almost no one who made it up to project manager, VP, or into a middle management position in these industries who cannot tell his or her story about a burnout. And sometimes we talk about just taking a few days off or not feeling well. Sometimes we talk about very serious health issues as well. And I certainly myself have a story to tell as well, so I experienced that. So it's not a trivial question, right? On the other hand, I think especially nowadays the topic of work-life balance is, I wouldn't say overrated, but I think people discuss it a lot. And I think there's a strong misconception about what work-life balance actually means and how to achieve it. And that's also something that I want to discuss in this video. So we have like these two extremes, right? So on the one hand, it's a real issue. On the other hand, I think especially in today's environment, in the media, I think this is discussed in a wrong way. All right, so this is what I want to do today and talk a little bit about my perspective on how to achieve that. So let's talk about the truth about work-life balance. And I want to talk about four things and like maybe four mistakes that most people do if they don't achieve a healthy work-life balance. And the first mistake that I always see is that there is this misconception that I just mentioned about work-life balance and what it actually is. Because many people say work-life balance is about the numbers of hours that you work. And then they say, hey, if you are in a job like consulting, finance, management, where you easily work something between 60 to 80, sometimes even 100 hours per week, then you cannot have a healthy work-life balance because, of course, you don't have enough time to take care of your private activities. But the truth is that it's not about the amount of hours that you have, it's more about the quality, right? So your subjective happiness is not measured in number of hours. It doesn't work like that, and it's easily to explain, right? There are maybe, if you meet your, your wife, your husband, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your partner, right? Then sometimes in a nice dinner or like in just a moment, you get so much intensity and so much quality that maybe, even spending an entire weekend together cannot equalize. So this means that it's not about the quantity of hours that you spend with someone or with something. It's more about the quality. And sometimes it's better to just like have a few very, very intense and good moments rather than spending a lot of time without really creating value. And this is important to understand. And so it's not the amount of hours, it's more the quality. And it's important to understand in what kind of areas in your life you wanna have this quality. And there is an entire scientific field that studies the economics of happiness, right? And basically there is scientific evidence that there are certain aspects in life that contribute to happiness. And for example, we have health. I mean, this is obvious, right? Without health, you cannot be happy. It's definitely relationships. So you need working and functioning relationships in your life as well. Then the third is finances. So you need to have like a good financial foundation to be happy as well. And something that I would call like spirit or emotion. So this is just like your emotional state. And these are the four areas that, based on scientific evidence, are important and that you need to manage in order to live a happy life, right? It's as simple as that. So this means that the key to work-life balance is to create a high quality in these four areas, no matter how many hours you actually work. And this is important to understand, right? It's not the amount of hours, it's the quality that you create in these areas that we just explained. And this is like the first mistake that many people do, that they don't understand what work-life balance actually means, and that they overrate the amount of hours and underrate the quality in the respective areas. The second big mistake, that people make is that they don't love what they do. And don't get me wrong, of course, the amount of hours matter in terms that you spend a large chunk of your week in your job, right? So if you work, I don't know, 60, 80, sometimes even 100 hours, you spend the majority of your available time in your job. And if you don't really like what you do, then of course there's no chance of like being happy, right? Because then you don't create this kind of quality that we just discussed in your work as well. So that's a huge problem. And that's why it's so important to like that you like your job. And this doesn't mean because many people say, yeah, I'm not passionate about consulting and finance and so on. I think it's not that much about being passionate about a certain topic. It's more about loving the grind, loving the journey, loving the people you work with, having something where you have an impact, where you make progress, where you have a growth story. I think this is much more important. And the cases where I see burnouts happening is in most cases where people feel or have the feeling that they are stuck, right? That no matter how hard they work, they don't make progress, and it's becoming really frustrating because the things, don't work the way you want them to work. And this is, what creates this level of frustration. And it's really important to understand that you need to love what you do, you need to love your work, and of course not every day will be great at work, but generally you need to feel a kind of purpose, at least in the sense that you contribute to a larger topic, that you have fun at work, that you like your colleagues, and that you have a progress. I think this is really important. And once you feel that this is not given anymore, then you cannot really create a work-life balance as well, right? Because still, even if you don't work a lot, if you work half, so half the time you spend at work, half with your private life, but you hate the one half of your life, still I would argue you cannot be really happy, because 50% of your life you spend with something that you don't really like, right? So it is important. And if you realize, hey, the job doesn't satisfy me anymore, maybe it's time to switch to another job, right? And that's the second mistake that I see people doing, that they don't love what they do, or that they have problems at work that they don't solve. And this creates this frustration or burnout sometimes. Then the third mistake that people do is that they don't manage the private life. And this is exactly what I mentioned in the first part, so that you need to create the quality in these activities, right? In your private activities. And this means that, let's do the calculation, right? So everyone during the week has 168 hours available, right? So 24 times 7 is 168. And let's say on average you sleep around 7 hours, so this would be 49, just for easier calculations. Let's say you sleep 48 hours per week. So this means that you have 120 hours available, right? And let's say that even that if you work, for example, in a top management role or in a finance role or consulting, and if you have a tough work week, then let's say you work 80 hours, which for most people is already a lot, right? Even if you would work 80 hours, you would still have 40 hours available for everything else, right? And this includes, doing sports, meeting friends, hanging out with your family, taking care of your private finances, going to the spa, meditation, whatever it is, right? So it's a lot of time. And what I see is that they don't use this time wisely, right? They waste time by hanging out on social media. They waste time by, just watching Netflix, by, doing sport, but not in high intensity, by meeting friends, but not really people that they really like, and stuff like that, right? So that's of course like another big problem. And what I really urge you to do is to take care of your time wisely, right? And to try to create this quality. So instead of just meeting with your partner and watching Netflix, maybe you go out to a dinner and have a deep conversation, right? Or maybe you have a common hobby. You go play tennis together, whatever it is, right? You visit a different city, so you create experiences, right, and memories, and really quality time. It's the same with sport. So maybe instead of, I don't know, doing like a 1 hour low intensity cardio, maybe it makes more sense to really go for a high or like a very intense workout for 30 minutes, all right, and stuff like that. And instead of relaxing and watching TV, maybe you go outside in the nature, or you go into the spa, for example, right? To create more quality in less time. And that is really important, okay? And the more you work, of course, the more you have to take care about that. That's also really important. That's the third mistake that I see, that people don't manage their private life. And the fourth is that people don't handle stress well. And this is of course a huge problem, because sometimes even if you like your work, if you take care of the quality, sometimes the stress level is just too high. But the misconception about stress is that stress only appears if you don't resolve a problem, right? Stress basically comes from inactivity, right? Because you're only stressed because you have so much on your plate that you cannot, that you feel overwhelmed, right? And this means that basically, right, you need to solve these issues that you have actively, and this sometimes means for a short time period to even invest a little bit more in terms of time to solve these problems, right? And that's also like a mistake that I often see, that if people feel stressed, that they do the opposite, that they pull back, that they think that they need to relax now, but on the opposite, they just need to resolve the problem, because the problem doesn't go away if they feel stressed. And that's important to understand. Don't get me wrong, on the other hand, you need to be very careful about that, because like if you are too stressed, for a longer time period, then this can also create a burnout. But then the problem is that you don't take enough action to reduce the stress in the long term. And sometimes this means to escalate to the project manager, or to escalate to the partner, or like to change something in the way you work, okay? So reducing the workload can also be active stress management, right? It's important to also understand that. And this is the fourth mistake that I often see, that people just don't manage stress in the right way. Right, and these are the four biggest mistakes that I see, right? That first, people don't understand what work-life balance actually means, or that they have a wrong perception of it, that they think they need to reduce the working hours while they actually need to increase the quality of the life. Second, that they don't like their job, or that they feel frustrated in their job and they don't take action about that. Third, that they don't create like quality in their private activities. And fourth, that they don't handle stress the right way. And these are like four things that you should avoid. And if you consider these points, then I think you have good chances to live a happy life despite long working hours. Because like, let's face it, there are so many people out there who have these intensive jobs, who work in top management positions, who are business owners, who have a lot of responsibility, and still they are happy, right? Because they avoid these mistakes that we are talking about. So if you want to work on your work-life balance, if you maybe are in a consulting job, finance job, management strategy job, on an entry level, or if you're a project leader or have a responsibility, then if you want to work on that, then please reach out to us. We also work with you on creating a better work-life balance for you. We have experienced ourselves with these problems and with these situations, so we know what we are talking about. I mentioned before that I had my own story in terms of a burnout, and I really managed to deal with that and still work a lot, but am very, very happy, and we can help you with that. Okay, so if you are interested in working with us, then check out careerbootcamp.org. This is our website. There you can apply for a free career assessment. And with that being said, hope you have a great day and talk to you soon. Goodbye, Johannes.